functional groups are distinctive arrangements of groups of atoms that impart characteristic physical and chemical properties to the molecules that contain them. That's the definition of a functional groups. What does all that mean? Well, distinctive arrangements of groups of atoms, for example, oxygen, how oxygen might be bound to the hydrocarbon with a double bond, or just as a single bond with a hydrogen, or with a double bond and another oxygen. These different arrangements of groups of atoms, oxygen containing or nitrogen containing, give particular characteristic physical properties that change the simple alkane into a more interesting molecule, and allow the organic chemist to more easily build molecules by combining functional groups. There's specific chemical reactions, and also there's this unique characteristic of organic molecules. It's called, or of molecules in general, but it's called the structure-function relationship. And when we add functional groups and change structures, we then change the behavior of the molecules. For example, ethane and ethanol. Ethane is just, your basic alkane, saturated hydrocarbon, and ethanol is the same molecule except one of the hydrogens has been substituted out. It doesn't matter which one in this case, but one of the hydrogens, let's say this one, has been substituted out for what's called a hydroxyl functional group. Hydroxyl. Sometimes it's called a hydroxyl functional group. Sometimes it's called an alcohol functional group. It's the same thing. But anyway, this changes the characteristics, the physical and chemical characteristics of this basic alkane when you add this OH group. For example, ethane at room temperature and pressure is a gas, whereas ethanol at room temperature and pressure is a liquid. Okay, big difference between the two of these, big differences in what types of molecules they will react with because of this now present functional group. So this would be considered a functional group on this hydrocarbon. There's a slew of functional groups, and I show them to you here, broken into two parts. This table is broken into two parts because they are so important, and we're going to be looking at polymer chemistry, and we're going to be looking at a little bit of synthetic chemistry to start understanding some drugs and why drugs work. Certain drugs work in certain capacities and others in other capacities. And then we're going to be looking at biochemistry. All of the basic functions of these different molecules comes down to what functional groups are or are not on the molecules. So we just need to be familiar with these different types of functional groups, and this is a matter of just taking about 30 minutes to take your time to read through these and become familiar with them. And then I've supplied you with a lot of homework to where you can practice identifying them.